Good morning, everyone. Begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda confirmation. Anything to add?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I do have a couple of modifications. I would like to add in the finance agenda that's before you. The minutes got put in the board packet, but the actual agenda did not get put in. As well as under the sheriff, I would like to add resolution E. It's also in front of you, and this is really just a house cleaning part that was brought to our attention yesterday in finance. So there was never a formal acceptance of the actual public safety grant, and this is needed for auditing purposes. The last agenda item that I would like to include is at the end of our work session, right before our work session where we adjourn. I would ask that we not adjourn, that we recess until, let's see here, 2 days from now on Thursday at 8:15, same time for a closed session, pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.05 Subdivision 2.
Okay. Any other additions, corrections?
No.
What was the first one?
Oh, you're going to test my memory.
First one is just
the finance
Sheriff,
agenda. You have the
Number 3,
minutes.
Resolution 2E.
Yeah, no, I was.
The finance agenda wasn't in the packet.
So, what do we?
Oh, the first one, the finance. It wasn't in the packet.
We normally include it in the packet. It just wasn't included, so I'm just asking.
You
to
have a
it in.
copy of it there.
We have the minutes before you.
It's just an agenda.
So it's not in addition to the minute or the agenda?
Correct. I'm just making a reference that I just like to include it in the information.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I don't understand the need, but that's
Just a
fine.
reference that it was submitted, and you got a copy of it if you want. With that, I have a motion to approve as amended.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Motion by Dave. Second?
I'll second.
Erica?
Mr. Chair, I'm not familiar with leaving it recess for 2 days. That I just don't know if that's proper or if is that just so we don't have to call a special meeting or?
Correct. For notice.
I don't know.
It is. I can tell you that it is proper because I did consult with the attorney.
Okay. Yeah, it's a common practice.
We just have, I don't know that it's ever been utilized here.
Town boards use it quite a bit and so forth, so it's a legal practice. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Minutes of October 1st. Any corrections? Dave?
So on page 3 of 4, under the sheriff, number 2, it probably should state in that motion that it comes from the public safety funds. That the purchase of that UTV.
The legislative
Public safety aid, yeah. And then the last one I had was on page 7 of 71, under agenda number 2, right before the last name, there should be an and before Don. Scary.
An and?
An and.
Oh, for the October 8th?
Yeah,
An and?
an and. Well, I saw it.
A-N-N or?
A and D. That's all I have.
Erica? Barry?
I didn't have the name.
Mr. Chair, on page 3 of 4, under Sheriff number 3, except the grant, I think the amount should be in there, the amount of the grant. And then on page 2 of 4, I'll maybe just defer to Carrie a little bit, but resolution on number 4 under County Administrator, number 4, resolution 1024-1A, change to exempt status was not voted on. I kind of thought we just changed the language in that to confer with the motion and second.
We didn't vote on 1A, but I called for another motion to exempt that.
Right. I when I made the motion, I just referred to 1A and said instead of that. I mean, but it doesn't matter which way it is. I think what happened, I motioned 1A, but I reversed it
Yeah.
to make it as the motion states. Motion second for the highway maintenance supervisor to replace highway supervisor from exempt to hourly in that and remove the other language that was in there. So so to keep it in 1A, but if you would rather have it this way, I
But
don't.
just
It's the same thing. But we did talk about changing the resolution to take those words out and then to put these in.
It doesn't matter to me, whatever you'd like.
That's fine, yeah.
But if it's written like this, it's fine. I'm just saying, but it was passed, in my opinion, it was passed in resolution form.
Okay.
But
So the wishes of the board are that you want me to modify, just so I'm clear.
are we?
Just
I can certainly do that.
I don't think it matters one way or the other because it is what it is. I mean, it's written as wanted, but we just didn't vote on the form.
Correct.
Is that okay with the rest of the board? That's as written?
Just
fine.
leave it as is, okay.
you'll understand.
And then, Mr. Chair, there's some things in the minutes that I don't know are necessary. It lengthens our minutes. Like an example would be under County Administrator AMC District 4 meeting Friday, October 18th. Just those information things I don't know if we need in the minutes. But are you condensing the minutes for paper? I mean, these are the approved minutes, so you'd have to list them all, correct?
Yes,
So I just don't know if we need information items like that in the minutes.
in the actual recorded. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, noted.
So there was that one, and then I think there's a couple other spots that, like the township meeting number 3 would be another one we don't need in our minutes. It's just an information for upcoming events, but
As a reminder.
yeah,
Okay.
but
Anything else?
no.
Motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with the corrections.
I'll second.
Second by Erica. Further discussion?
Just a question, was that both sets of minutes?
Both sets of minutes, yes,
Okay.
yes, correct.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Moving on to the consent agenda. Is there anything in there somebody wants to pull for further discussion? Not, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Erica,
I'll second.
Dave. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Open forum. When you come up to speak open forum, state your name and address. First one is Julie Scotthorn. Scotthorn.
Everybody says how you said it.
Okay.
Good morning. My name is Julie Scotthorn. I live on Lake Maud in Lake Eunice Township. I feel this meeting may be my last opportunity to speak about the Becker County Comprehensive Land Use Plan and Zoning Code before it is voted on by this commission. In early December 2023, I received a forwarded COLA email identifying an online survey available to county residents to complete by December 15th. Its purpose was to collect visions, goals, and aspirations of the county residents for the future of growth and development in this county. The survey information was to be used to help shape the future of Becker County. Inclusivity, communication, education, and engagement were promised. 471 people responded to the survey, just over 1% of the more than 35,000 residents of this county. Why so few? Not everyone has internet. Not everyone is regularly engaged in social media. And unfortunately, the internet was the main vehicle for all these notifications. Remember the promises of inclusivity, communication, education, and engagement? There wasn't a single open forum in the entire county for the general public to discuss their thoughts and concerns or address questions face-to-face with any county official ever. The first opportunity for the general public, not specialized focus groups, to speak to the plan was August 20th before the Planning Commission. There was no engagement from the Commission allowed per the rules. Many present felt their words were met with deaf ears. It was not lost on anyone that the date had already been set for the next County Commissioners meeting, and the agenda called for a vote to approve the plan. Thankfully, it was postponed. I am concerned about the lack of transparency with the public by everyone involved in this process, but specifically the Planning and Zoning Department and the consulting firm that was hired by the taxpayers. Gaining access to and getting timely, correct information about the plan has been very difficult from the beginning. I signed up for, yet never received a single project update. The plan is meant to be used as an official roadmap to administer, investigate when required, and enforce when needed the coming years of growth of our county. The apparent lack of attention to important details such as accountability and enforcement appears irresponsible. And then there's that pesky detail of promises of inclusivity, communication, education, and engagement. Rather than emphasizing the importance of public engagement and input by our citizens, who happen to be our county's most valuable resource, I feel as though only a handful of people guided this incomplete and flawed plan. As is often the case, the winners will be the few that will profit the most. Please rethink passing this plan as it stands today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, just to comment on that, we are not looking at passing any plan today.
I understand, but it may be my last opportunity to say something. Are there open forums scheduled for people to speak and have questions answered?
I don't believe there's any open public forums between now and then, but it is, you have the opportunity to contact any. Sure.
But nothing open forum community-wise for people to speak to this plan.
We held one last meeting
Last Tuesday.
on the 8th.
Right.
8th?
But there has never been a question-answer situation where the people can show up and ask questions and get answers. There's really never been one. Otter Tail County, just our neighboring county, took nearly 3 years to do their strategic plan. They had 4 open forums, public forums for people to question and get answers, not just voice concerns.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Thank you. Willis?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Willis Mattson. I live up by Toad Lake on Highway 34. I'd like to read an open letter from the local chapter of the Isaac Walton League of America. By open letter, I plan to introduce it here today and ask that it be published for public review. The Board of Commissioners has momentous opportunity to stand out as leaders at this critical juncture in making plans for the county's future. But the board must act now, quickly and wisely to do so. And it all could depend on a map that is promised but not yet included in the Becker County comp plan. Many county residents, lake homeowners, township officers, community leaders, league members have turned out in impressive numbers to urge decisive county policy changes and specific plans for action to be included in the county's updated comprehensive plan. Throughout the process, citizens have resoundingly emphasized the need for better protection and restoration of the county's water, its lakes, streams, shorelands, groundwater, its forests, and other high-valued natural areas. These natural resources are in peril from numerous threats of depletion, nitrate pollution, invasive species, and other forms of degradation. The threats are from all manner of land and water uses, ranging from urban sprawl to strip development, urban runoff, excessive shoreland development, overcrowding of our lakes, growing user conflicts, soil erosion, and ever-intensifying industrial agriculture. Numerous private wells are contaminated in several townships, and the Straight River, a premier county trout stream, no longer supports fish. The Toad River is now unsafe for either fishing or swimming. Toad Lake now has zebra mussels. And the shoreline destruction is being permitted by one county department at a rate faster than repairs can be made by another. More specifically, huge factory farms, too many homes on lakes, and humongous wake boats drew strong criticism from the public. Detailed technical reports were even offered to support the needed policy changes. These reports were glossed over in the updated plan, but the facts about significant adverse impacts in the CAFO and wakeboat reports remain unrefuted. And the family farms that already exist in the county need not be concerned by these reports or new policies, because the threat is clearly identified as being from the larger conglomerate-owned factory farms. All it would take is a well-constructed map. Some areas of Becker County can better withstand more concentrated housing, more streets, lighting, noise, traffic, while other areas are too sensitive or may have intrinsic values that require special protection. Long ago, the Minnesota legislature gave cities, counties, and townships the power to control these threats in order to preserve the health and welfare of their residents and for future generations. Planning and zoning are the tools the county has to accomplish these goals. Simply adding a detailed map to the updated comprehensive plan that identifies where development of any kind should be allowed and where it should be curtailed would shore up a rather bland county plan in a major way. When population growth is anticipated, as it is in Becker County, good planning and zoning can be used to guide this growth to where community sewer lines, water mains, good streets, and more rapid police and fire protection are already available, or where these services can be economically extended. Some lakes can withstand disruption by wake boats, others are too small and shallow. All this can be shown on maps. These are not extraordinary or unjustified requests, nor are they difficult for the county to deliver. Many counties in Minnesota already do this. Multiple agencies, county departments, and volunteer citizens stand ready to contribute to the effort. The MPCA, MDNR, Ag, and Health departments not only have valuable information, they're required by the legislature to lend a helping hand to counties that need technical assistance. The several watershed districts in Becker County, including the Pelican, Ottertail, Buffalo Red, Red Eye River, in addition to the county soil and water conservation districts, each have expressed the need for the county board to step up and fill important gaps. The draft comp plan even states that the county board supports the plans of these organizations, but the board's plan is silent on just how the board is willing to do so. With the completion of the comp plan, the Becker County Board is committed to adopting the ordinances and the ordinances needed to implement it. A detailed zoning map would clearly point the way for targeting these ordinances to where they're needed most. Becker County's future is depending on it. Now's the time to lead, not to defer. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think, Willis, I just want to speak to the map. We have been working on one, but we haven't finalized it yet, so it will come, but I believe the plan is for it to come with the zoning ordinances. So it's not going to be part of the plan, it will be part of the zoning ordinances.
That's the map we're referring to, and that's why we think that map is so important. The current map that's in there, many have pointed out, is on a scale that's really hard to read in any detail. So hopefully as you move forward in that, that'll be in fine scale and detailed and accomplish the goals that we're talking about. Yeah. So thank you. That's exactly the map we're referring to.
Thank you. Reports and correspondence.
Mr. Chair, just to add on to that, I have asked for those detailed maps in the past too, and they haven't been produced. We went to townships specifically to show where those lines are, because you can't tell on this map where some of those lines would be, because you have to be very specific when you have a map saying you can do that here and you can't do that here. So this map referenced here, I would say, would just be referencing the better scale maps as we're working forward. But other than that, something that we had sheriff's meeting, and I think the items are covered under the. Yep. Also went out to Dunton Locks as a family, went on a little bike ride, and the amount of people out there it's just incredible, the amount of use that place has. There was people fishing all over. Continuous trail of people going to see the troll. It's just one thing we'd have to do is get more parking out there, because with the construction now we're more limited to parking. So there were people parking in the ditches and everything. So it's a well-used spot, and I don't like the price tag of that shelter, but they're putting up, what are they? Steel beams or aluminum beams, so it's a long-term building. So we should be thankful for should get 50 years out of this one, hopefully. So anyway, I don't think I had any other meetings actually. Went to the open forum or the League of Women Voters candidate forum, and it went well. So they threw some tough questions at us. I could tell you that. I was like, we got 2 minutes to figure this out and answer it, and you get and then you realize what you wanted to say after the next person spoke. So that's but anyway.
I can go next. I had senior council meeting at Mahooby. We talked about Medicare open enrollment, which opens today, and just for everybody to remember that if you have Humana is no longer accepted at Essentia in Sanford here in town. So make sure and look at your Medicare. If you need help comparing plans, Lisa Stroshine over at Mahooby can help in comparing plans. She saved seniors over $100,000 last year in the 5-county area at Mahooby. She cannot help enroll you, but she can help find a plan for you, and I believe she has appointments starting next week. Then Dave and I went to the Toad Lake Town Board meeting last night and had some conversations with the board and the citizens that came to the meeting. There was a lot of discussion about Toad Mountain, and really they have some concerns about us moving forward because, again, there's a lot of unanswered questions about what will happen with the road, the increase that the fire and rescue could cause. They weren't as concerned about the property tax increase from removing the mountain as much as the potential increase in road and fire and rescue. They are going to be talking to their township attorney about possibly enacting some kind of moratorium to prevent any purchase or development by the county, because really they're concerned. They want the mountain to be brought back to its natural state, developed, have a minimum development to it, but they just don't feel like the county is the person or who should be the owner and who should be involved. So
Yeah,
Did that about cover
that's
it?
pretty much summed it up. Yeah.
So that's all I have.
You know what? One comment that I've always suggested, and I was going to mention this at the other meeting, but the county through the SMART monies could do road improvement on the infrastructure. I don't see that as a issue. We did that at Detroit Mountain. So I mean, and the other thing that would be an asset to the township, that building, the storage building, could be utilized by not only the county grounds, but that's a big building for where the township could utilize for some storage also. So I think it's a could be positive in both aspects there. I guess you have to talk to an attorney, but I don't know if the township has the authority to stop a county from doing
I
a
don't know
project.
either. I don't know either.
I do. That made me think of one other thing that they were concerned about, Barry, is the lakeshore property. I thought that the resolution that we accepted it did not include the lakeshore, that we were going to move forward without it. But it was brought to my attention that it did include the lakeshore. So that was one of their concerns, because when they had talked about it previously, being okay with what the potential could be for the mountain, it did not include the lakeshore with the cabins. So that was another one of their concerns, is that it could potentially include that.
Yep.
Yeah, I brought up the road issue last summer out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought it up several times. That's not a big factor, because if it did happen, like we did to Detroit Mountain and Wanigan, we'll help them out and improved.
And I think one of the concerns they had with that was taking the smart tax and using it there, not using it on another, road that would be up for fixing. And then also, after that road is done, now the township has to maintain it. They were concerned about that too. They're just stating their concerns.
That probably less than it is now.
Yeah, probably.
You know, I think this case is some people don't want anything,
No.
and I think you're throwing enough stuff at the wall. You're hoping something will stick.
You good?
Yep, I'm done.
I'll go next. So John and I had a negotiation. We have another contract ready to look at for approval. And I think we have one more left to do, right? Yep.
No.
And then we're done.
Hopefully before the end of the year.
Hopefully, that'd be nice, yeah. And then I also had a historical society meeting. So it's not going to be a haunted house this year. It's going to be a haunted hill at Detroit Mountain. And that'll be the 18th and 19th of this. So that'd be Thursday, Friday this week, and then
Friday, Saturday.
Friday, or is that Friday, Saturday?
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, and then Friday, Saturday next week too, 25th and 26th. That'll be from 7 to 9 p.m. So if you want to get scared at Detroit Mountain, go there. Then also too, they're working out a deal or an agreement with Detroit Lakes Schools to operate the coffee shop. So the Detroit Lakes high school has an academy program or plan, and the kids would come from the school and work at the coffee shop and make everything, all the stuff would be there, but they would do it. Now, obviously, not during the school year would be an issue, so they'd have to figure out how to do that. But it's a possibility. It seems like the school's interested in doing it, and then that's a good opportunity for the Historical Society. And then again, the American Adventure exhibit is open. It opened on the September 28th. So if you want to go play the big oversized Oregon Trail in the basement, it should be fun. I haven't been down there to try it yet, but I'm going to try it and probably die. So
Of dysentery.
yeah, I'm dysentery.
There's also a haunted trail in Audubon after the trunk or treat at Team. It's a one day event or one evening event after that. So I would imagine it's going to be a busy 2-hour event on the nature trail over by the school. So I don't have the date. You'll have to check that out. But it's right after the trunk or treat that Team puts on, Team Industries at Audubon.
Cornerstone has one this weekend too. Lots of them. Cornerstone has one. They're haunted forest, I think. But it's a little bit more rural, and I don't have the address right offhand. But lots of fun Halloween activities.
Yes. And then John and I had a transit meeting. We hadn't had one for a while, so it's kind of nice to have an update. So the ridership for the year is up 11.5% as of the end of September. So he's projecting that by November there'll be more have more rides than they had the whole last year, which is kind of cool. People are using it. So they also had a state audit, ended up good, but it started out bad because the state software had an error in it, so that said that our audit was bad. And then they realized that the state software had an error, so then it was corrected, and then our audit was good. That's good. He also hired a new bus driver. The bus driver started Monday this week, so that's positive. And then we got some good news. The bus that we ordered in 2022 went to production. I think he said it was this week or next. I think it was this week he said it went to production. So, yeah. And then he's going to fill out another application for a new bus, and it's going to be a little bit smaller bus so that it doesn't require a passenger endorsement and a CDL to drive it. The operating budget by the state went up 5% for transit, so that's was good. Kevin was happy about that. Is there anything else?
No, just Gary and I signed the grant agreement, or
the agreement for the transit. Yeah.
So that's
On transit, in one of the online questionnaires for candidates was a question about transit, and they were asking about regular routes and getting regular routes to Out County and connectors, and I responded by saying, if there was a need, or if there was a regular ridership, it certainly would be we'd be looking at it, but I think we've tried that in the past, and that just the ridership isn't there on a regular route to say like Lake Park. They just don't. But I stated if there's any group that says that we want to think that there's a need for a regular ridership to different communities, I think would be.
Kevin also said that they'll get calls, and they can't they're going to call to go out, I don't know, 10 miles north of Audubon. They'll come, but they may not be able to come that day. So if you call,
well, you have to plan a little bit
ahead. Yeah.
But if you, what I'm getting at is, if you had a regular routine where you a needed ride, they will try to accommodate.
Yeah.
I have firsthand knowledge of that. My daughter, years ago was in gymnastics, and they would come and pick up at the school. There was a group of kids that they'd pick up, bring down to gymnastics, and you pay your fee, but they will work with any organization or people that need a.
MnDOT frowns on setting up a big regular route. They want more one on call. You call, but I'm not saying that it can't be worked out if you got, say, crazy Lake Park or something.
Yeah.
Set up a time they're going to be there.
Right. Yeah. You have specific. I think I didn't mention this, but the state is actually looking at a trial run of using Uber instead of some of the. In some cases where Uber might actually be, if it's established that you could be there's a partnership. I think they're looking for a test county or something to do that test with Uber, but I don't think we have enough.
But I don't even think we have an Uber driver in Becker County.
I don't know, but you start thinking about it, and that might be the cheapest, and instead of subsidized.
Yeah.
A lot of questions to work out, and you'd need some real, have a solid partners with that. I mean, you couldn't have just someone does it when they can or wants to. So, but.
Okay, anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Yeah, that's about all I had to was the transit negotiation, which did carry on quite late that afternoon.
Yep.
You left early.
I left you guys hanging.
I think we accomplished, or at least got it ready to sign.
Yes.
So, Richard?
My human services meeting was canceled, so I didn't have anything.
Okay, thanks. Any appointments? Okay. Moving on to County Administrator report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to, I know I've been asked by at least one of the members of the board what our dues increases were for AMC. So it's really what they set for the dues increase was the 10% or $2,000, whichever is greater. So our county will see an increase of the $2,000 in 25. But I think, as you all know, they do a lot of work on behalf of counties. So there was a need for the increase.
Yeah, we had District 4 board chairman's meeting here last week, is the second time they've held that, just kind of get an idea for stuff for the meeting, and this is brought up, and it's, figure-wise or dollar-wise, counties, AMC only spends about $270,000 on their lobbyists and their staff to be at the Capitol. The League of Cities are well over $1 million. So we got to, and that's part of the reason is to retain our good staff and probably expand on the time they go over and represent Minnesota counties too. So I think that most county or board chairman and district board are supportive of it. So they'll come up down at AMC on Friday again. So.
Well, I think it's, I think we've been underpaying the staff, and we found out how expensive lobbyists are. If you look at our staff at AMC, and I call them our staff because we are a member, their counterparts at League of Minnesota Cities, our longest term employee goes over there, they're not even on their wage scale yet. I mean, that's how far below we are comparable to other lobbyists. And we have some of the best. I mean, you look at a couple of those people, and we've lost some good people.
Yeah, just
we've lost the natural resource environment, went to Rochester, went to a county. They got, it's like they're leaving, and they leave to go to Hennepin all the time. We train them into it. I mean, and I don't think it's kind of like what we try to do. We don't need to be the highest paid, but you have to be competitive. And right now, they want to stay. It's a great job. They love the job, but yeah. So I think it's very reasonable request.
If I remember right, the longest one there is Ryan. He's got 14 years.
Yeah.
I think he said so.
And Matt's been there a while now.
Matt and
Emily's been there a bit, and
so a lot of them I think are just dedicated, and
they like working.
We have to keep up with wages too.
Yeah.
Julie's a good director.
And Julie's another one.
Yeah.
And she told me, well, I won't say what, but she has offers all the time to go and for a lot more money. So it's, you want to be somewhat competitive. The job environment has a lot to do with where you work, but you want to be compensated at least somewhat near the.
So with regards to AMC, I also got a notice yesterday from them just notifying our county that we do have the ability to add another delegate and or vote. At the current time, we have all 5 commissioners designated as such, and including, they also have on the list myself and then also Denise. So we do have the option for an additional one. So I don't know if you had somebody in mind or if you would like me to look at the agenda and see what department head or what have you might fit the best for the upcoming annual meeting.
Mr. Chair, I support having department heads going to their conferences and to their. I've never been one that thinks that this is a necessity. I think Jim can go down to, or Denise, or to whatever their part of that is, and if they wanted to stay the whole, I don't have a problem. But I just don't know if there's a need, unless they're driving something behind that. I don't know if there's so if we had a project in that we felt very strongly that we were trying to lobby for, then I think it would be more appropriate. But so I'm not really pushing for us to. We certainly can name them if there is something, but unless I think they're better served in their specific ones rather than coming to AMC. That's a lot more general, doesn't get in the weeds like. For some of those, but if there's an item like in human services that Denise feels strongly about, I more than encourage her to come in. But to sit through the whole AMC, it gets a little bit.
Right, yeah, and I just wanted to bring it to your attention that we did have another opportunity for a voting member, so I will.
But we have to name that person.
That's correct.
So
I will take a look and see and go from there and then advise later. Just wanted to put it on your radar. Upcoming, what I will be bringing forward is a discussion about cannabis. We haven't really done a lot of work on that and really what we want to do with that. I will bring it up at the township meeting that's coming on Thursday. I was hoping that we would have a sample resolution if they so chose to want to have the county take that responsibility, but there really isn't a good draft out there that I've reached out, so I'm kind of holding to see.
Yeah, I think that's real important to let the townships know that
Yes.
this is something, and even the small cities, that this is something you really should act on if you either have a plan in place or
To delegate
that
to
us.
the county,
Yeah.
yes. So
Do
my
you
plan,
have, AMC doesn't have anything?
they didn't have anything.
Well, the laws they're rewriting them all the time.
Yeah, but I think that's part of the issue. I know the League of Minnesota Cities had something that they were going to share with AMC, but that hadn't happened as of just a couple of days ago. So I'm going to keep my feelers out there and see what other work other people have done, and or we may just have to start from scratch. I guess we'll just
Yeah,
kind of see.
it would be good for us to have something for the meeting on Thursday.
I know I was really hoping that I could have something, and if I can get my hands on something prior to that, I will certainly bring it with on Thursday.
I think it'll be in discussion on Friday.
Yeah, and maybe somebody there will have.
That's as well. With the meeting on Friday, my hope is that, yes, if there's
And then
somebody up there I can reach out
If need be,
to.
we could mail it out to
Yes,
the townships.
yes. And then I just, really a question for the board. I know with our new human resource director, in the past when I served in that role, I had work sessions with the board as policy was being updated, and there's going to be a need in the future. I can't tell you exactly when. However, I'm just wondering what the wishes of the board to proceed. Would you like to have it in the same fashion that we've had when I was in that role, having work sessions as she's updating actually the personnel policy in general, or I'm just asking for some
I
direction?
think very short, at any board meeting or
Yeah.
every board meeting, a short part of
Some
it.
updates.
Just well, if you want to review, like if you were talking about changing policy or updating
Yes.
the policies.
Yes.
I would say just take a very short one and hammer that one out and then bring it to board and approve it.
And then do another one.
Okay.
That's so kind of like the same.
Kind of, yeah. So-
So a work session, or are you asking just to have it brought directly to the board?
I think just an update.
Well, you could just, I don't know if you need to, you could hand it out or propose changes, and then if there's something, we could approve it with discussions.
Okay, and that's fine. I just wanted to know what the wishes
Oh,
of
that works, yeah.
the board were for her to go forward, so.
And knowing this board, we might have some questions and might put it off.
Yes.
Can't just all agree on everything.
In your package, you have a copy of the LELS Supervisors Union contract. I would recommend that there be a motion for approval. They did vote on this. I'll just hit a couple of the high points of that contract. It's very similar to prior contracts that we have or that the board has approved. They will go into the wage scale as of April, retroactive COLA of 2.5 back to January, and then the approved COLA of the 3.5 and 3.5 for the next 2 years. We also had agreed tentatively to a modification, as we had in other contracts, modification to the longevity pay. There was a slight increase in their uniform allowance and some adjustments to mandatory trainings about minimum hours. I think I hit the high points. Did I miss anything?
Yeah, then there's just a couple minor corrections.
Thank you.
that are-
Yes, and I also, if the motion goes forward, I'd also ask for authorization for just modifying if there's grammatical errors that are caught. We've tried to catch all of those, but now after this has been put in the packet, I know we found in one section there was a knots where there shouldn't have been, so it was brought to our attention, so.
With that, to have a motion to approve the LES Supervisors Union contract.
I'll make a motion to approve the LES supervisor's contract and also to allow Carrie to supervise any grammatical corrections.
I'll second it.
Second by Erica. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And I was going to say, Mr. Chair, I believe I said this, but this is a 3-year contract through
Yes.
26,
Yep.
like the other ones as well. In your packet, I had, there is a one-page on 36, a one-page of an update for the special general fund that we had some discussions last round about. And there was a lot of work that's been done on this in the last few weeks. Many things have been gone through, and in order to give a good estimate of what is left, I just wanted to emphasize that really what's happened in this is that there's 3 different areas or pots of money, if you will, that have come in, and they're listed up there on the board. And really what happened with this is that they were initially tracked individually in accounts separated from each other. And then as time went on, they were filtered into the special general account. So I believe with this board, in the past, what you were probably referenced or what you were referencing is a project list, but it was only really tied to the old ARPA dollars. So my belief is that's really where the balance wasn't kept up because we have 3 pots of money that it was being tracked separately, and then it was all put into the special general fund. So in here, as you can see, this is the estimated total. What we did was we really took a look all the way back to 2020 of what's been spent in each of these accounts, and then what's been transferred into the special general from any of these accounts, and then it really looked back to look at what's been authorized and earmarked for projects that have not been paid as of yet. And I've noted those, the outstanding obligations, which is on the list. So then in grand total, then you have a total of what is left in here.
And we also have the opioid settlement. That's not in here, correct?
That is not included
And
in
then
here.
we also had the, what was the other one with the tribal?
Yes, there's 162,000.
162?
Yes.
So that one, we still have that balance.
That is not included in here either. Yes, that is correct. And then also, while we're talking about this, there's also a homeless prevention grant that I've asked for. We're going to be meeting internally here that has to be spent by the end of the year. And I've asked several departments to come together for a session just to really look at internally how that can be spent, because if we don't spend it by the end of the year, it has to go back.
Are there any timelines on the other ones, the opioid and the?
I don't know about the opioid, and the other one, I believe, is good through the end of next year, the 162,000. The tribal, I can't remember the actual title of it.
The opioid one, is that the one that
Denise?
we have the advisory?
Yeah.
Correct.
They are currently
Doing our
doing
RFPs.
RFPs for that. So if there is something that any of the committees want
I think
to
that,
potentially get that money, they would.
yeah, I think the department should look at that too, and if there's anything that they feel
That would
they
fit
can
under there.
put forward, and then the county can, and maybe even IT security could be part of that.
That's a good idea. Yeah, if there's anything that would fit under there, we can certainly take a look at that. To spend.
I do know Judy spends money very well.
So are there any other questions about this? Yeah, the staff and myself spent a lot of time putting this together. I thought it was very important to get to the bottom of where.
Yeah, thank you, and thank Nicole, because I think she brought this up early, saying that, these, we gotta know where you're
Yes.
tracking these funds from.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, thank you.
And Gary, your thoughts that 1.9 is fairly close?
Yes. Yes, there's still some additional work, but we're just trying to make sure that there's nothing. And again, I just want to emphasize, we've had, prior to myself, we've had 2 administrators that track things differently. There was a project list that was used interchangeably in the prior administrator. It's really used interchangeably, project lists versus how you were tracking financial, and that's part of why this balance got
mixed
off
up.
as well. So I think we're on the right track here. So yes.
So the things listed, below there to get to 1.9, that's, the wish list is, are we getting rid of the wish list at this time, kind of, or are you just looking at that to see?
The wish list is still, I still have that. There is at least one item, I think, in IT that'll probably come forward yet. But that is not included because the board hasn't authorized that. I believe that's for a server for IT.
But of the 1.9, we've already obligated 900.
No.
I thought the 900 was.
It's out of there.
Oh, that's all the other one.
Outstanding
That's the,
obligations.
yeah, the outstanding obligations was taken off, so the net is what you're seeing on the.
So
Okay.
the 1.9
Is-
is,
Yep.
Is the,
includes the 900.
The things I have listed that we were able to find, so those are some outstanding items, such as our
So we have-
UKG and tax system and the Bearcat and so forth.
Is left then?
this number right there.
It's 2.8 right now is left.
0.9 is left.
Yep. And then they allocated.
Because we
to
got
the 1.9.
900 for
Yeah,
outstanding.
in the
2.8
bottom
there.
box, that's what we,
That's
the net
1.9
total of what we came up
Is
with.
what will be in there after
2.8
they allocated this pay.
balance, and you take out the
We approved it.
outstanding stuff, we got 1.9 left.
So yes, for additional information, we went through the project list. What we found is that,
Well,
sorry.
I didn't know.
In the project list, we went through items that perhaps were initially requested at a certain dollar amount that maybe went over, some went under, some didn't go forward. So we really cleaned that up and then compared that to the financials of what actually has been spent. So any other questions that I can answer for that? Okay.
Nope, thank you.
Yep.
Yep, it's in the board packet.
Page 36 of 71.
All right, Jim is here, and there was some suggestion about the highway road tour, and I believe the last dates that we came up with were the 6th and the 7th of November. I know there was dates kind of floating back and forth here.
First week of November, any of those dates, I know we would have finance on Monday morning, and they got regular board meeting. We could do it after the board meeting. I'm going to try and hold it to like 2.5 hours. I guess my plan would be to visit Frazee, our project there, and future projects on Main Street, visit 34 up in Ridgewood, and then the city here, the last phase of Westlake Drive, just have a little drive-through and discussion on some options we're looking at for that. So I don't know if you have a date that works good in the morning or afternoon, or like I said, after the board meeting.
That would work for me
Yeah.
if we want to do it after the board
We could have
meeting.
the board
You want to do it
meeting.
after the board meeting? Okay.
If that works for,
Does that work for you guys?
The
Tuesday,
5th.
the
So
5th.
on the 5th, following the board meeting? Okay.
It's always hateful to do that because you don't know what times exactly, but
Yeah, I don't know if there's a lot of stuff coming up to the first board meeting or not, but
One can never really predict.
well, if we're doing if we're going to be doing the land use plan, we can predict it might not be.
Well, maybe, yeah,
board
maybe you
meeting.
want to go on a different day then.
Well, we got
Wednesday, Thursday.
Wednesday
morning.
is
Wednesday's
open.
fine too. Wednesday's good for me.
Wednesday,
Wednesday the
Wednesday work?
6th?
yeah,
That's the
Wednesday
date.
works for me.
the 6th,
Okay. And what time would you like to do?
8:30?
8:30. Okay.
And meet where? Here or the
Highway?
highway?
highway building, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
8:30, we said?
And you said about 2.5 hours?
8:30 highway.
8:30. Okay. Okay, and these are just a couple of reminders. The AMC district meeting is on Friday in Fergus Falls for the morning, and then the Township Association meeting is on Thursday evening at 7 p.m.
And I will not be at the township meeting. We have our public hearing for the Crow Wing watershed. I probably should have said that in my report. To approve the Crow Wing watershed
Okay.
plan
Okay.
on that day.
Right. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Chair, just under administrative, you plan on, I mean, they sent out a list of questions and you're preparing those, so you will be, could you get us a copy of your response just prior, email this
Who's they?
For the AMC.
AMC?
Oh, AMC.
They have the list of questions and I just like if we can add anything or have any suggestions.
Sure, I can do that.
The other thing, Carrie, is when we touched base on it earlier, I was wondering if we could have like weekly reports from the administration. And I know I'm not asking for a dialogue one, maybe just bullet points, because I know if I have to do dialogue, it takes me forever because you want a wordsmith. But just what's going on in the week for the
A week in review? kind of?
Yeah, just so the whole board is up to date on just.
There's a lot of things happening.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
would
and
agree.
I don't want detail, just saying worked on, had another labor negotiation, we're still working on that, and just otherwise I fall out of the loop on some of the things, and I'd like to
I would
keep in
appreciate
mind
that.
that too. And just I don't want, written well, I just bullet points, just saying, these are the things
You don't want
that.
pages and pages?
No, but I want to make it easy for you, because I know how, if you're like me, I take a lot of time in writing a paragraph, but just say, these are some of the things that I've worked on this week, and just bullet points saying, put out this fire, whatever it is, it just, that would be very nice, but I don't want you to throw a lot of time in that, so just a list of bullets that would be great.
Okay.
Mary?
Good morning, Commissioners. I have two resolutions. The first one is 1024-2B to accept the election grant to be used for technology and cybersecurity. We received $34,766.60 in July. 75% of that stays with the county. 25% will be distributed to the cities and townships by the end of the year.
Motion to approve 2B.
Motion by Barry. Second?
I'll second.
Second by Dave. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried.
And Resolution 1024-2C is to purchase 5 poll pads. These are the electronic rosters that we started using just this year. And due to the increase in voter registration, we've had 633 new registrants since May 1 of last year. The state recommends that we have at least 1 poll pad available for every 500 voters, and the 3 wards in the city are now exceeding the 2,000 mark. So we would like to use part of the grant funds to purchase 5 poll pads that will be used for the general election.
I'll make a motion to approve 2C.
Motion by Eric.
I'll second.
Second by Dave. Further discussion?
I have to say, I've heard from a lot of election judges that really like the poll pads, that
Yep.
it makes their job
When I
so
went and
much
voted,
easier.
when I went and voted in the primary, I asked, and they said they love them,
And I think Lakeview Township said they're going to install air conditioning.
I hope so. I had to go out there, but yes, I'm hoping they get some air. The other just quick thing is
Mr. Chair,
today.
we haven't voted yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Any further comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, then just a reminder, today is October 15th, so it's real estate tax day.
Ooh, thank you. And Mr. Chair and Mary, just to point out, all ballots are still paper ballots, so this is just to register to get your ballot.
The poll pad is just your signature.
Right,
Yeah.
to get the ballot. But I want to point out too that we have, when you do your, when you review the public.
Public accuracy test?
But when you after the election you pull
Canvass.
the canvassing board. Yeah. We have the paper ballots to review, and we can match up if there's an election that we want to question. You can hand count every paper ballot. Correct. And at times we've done that. I mean, I haven't been on the canvassing board for a while, but we have all the. I mean, I think that's significant to know, because I've had people question the accuracy or the safeness or the security of the voter, and all I can say is what Becker County is, and I am very confident in our election process in Becker County. Yeah. So that keep up the good work, but we have paper ballots and we can recount those, and we do during the canvassing board. And remember, what year was it? During the one election, we had to recount every ballot. That was back about a dozen years ago, I think, and we came out very good. So
yeah, I think it was Coleman Franken.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Was that the Chads down in Florida year? I think so.
Mr. Chair, since the elections is coming up very quickly, do we have a set canvassing board? Can't think of the word.
I think we're on.
I think it's us too.
Okay, I just wanted to.
We did the primary.
Did the primary, so it is set. Okay, I just wanted. It's going to come up.
It has to be people that are not on the ballot.
Not on the ballot. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we were set to go, because Election Day is our next board meeting. So.
And I think we scheduled it.
Did we schedule?
But I don't remember when it was. You could let us know, Mary.
I will let you know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Make sure it's not the 6th at 8:30 in the morning. That's a road tour we just scheduled.
That wouldn't be the next day, though.
No, I think it's the next week, if I remember correctly, but.
Sheriff.
Yeah, I thought we did schedule it too, but I don't have it in there. I better probably wrote it down.
Good morning.
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 Mr. Chair, members of the board, the first item I have is Resolution 1024-2E, which is to accept the legislative public safety aid of $996,097.
I'll make a motion to approve
Accept.
2E, or accept 2E. Yep.
Second?
Or approve, yeah. You could say approve.
I'll second.
Second by Barry. All in favor, or further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Thanks.
Item number 2, Resolution 1024-2A, is a request for a new deputy. This deputy, first of all, the salary, this person would not start until January 1st of 25. 30% of that salary would be paid through the Public Safety Aid Fund. The deputy will assist in transporting federal inmates to medical appointments and potential court hearings, currently mandated to transport with 2 armed officers right now. Approximately, like I said, 3.6 months will be paid through the legislative fund that we just approved. Statistics show Becker County is a busy county. We have shown that we are one of the busiest sheriff's offices. We do not have recent numbers, but the numbers are very similar when we reached out in 2017, 18, and 19. Out of 18 counties, similar to Becker County, our county averages 834 calls for service per year per deputy. Becker County serves a rural population of approximately 22,795 residents. This compares to, for example, Douglas County with 453 calls per year with approximately the same rural population, or Clay with 419 per year with only 11,000 residents, roughly half of what we have in Becker County. That number is actually smaller today. It's smaller than 11,000. According to the Uniform Crime Report from 2023, which shows Becker County with 24 deputies, the Sheriff's Office sits at 81 out of 87 counties as far as deputies per capita, and this is without Hennepin County. The state average is 1.78. Just to get the state average, we would need 40 deputies. As we sit now with 26 deputies, we would be at approximately 1.14 deputies per capita, roughly 77 out of 87 counties. Just last week, I heard the city of Detroit Lakes, with approximately 10,000 residents, is budgeting for another police officer in 2025. This would bring them to 19.5 officers per 10,000 residents. Again, we currently have 26.5 deputies, including the variable hour part-time, which works very part-time, for our nearly 23,000 rural residents. If we were to have the same ratio of deputies per citizens, we should be at 44.5 deputies. In your packet, you have received a spreadsheet that includes the possible revenue that we could bring in with our federal inmates at the jail. As of right now, we are roughly maintaining 10 inmates, an average of 10 inmates, and you can see that brings in $262,800. Even though we've been down a little bit this year, we should be getting close to that by December 31st. If we would bring in 20 inmates per year, that would bring us up to $525,600 with the current per diem of $72 per day per inmate. We are hoping to bring that per diem up to close to 90. If it went to 85 with 20 inmates, that's a revenue of $620,500. If we have 25, we are over $775,000. As you can see, by adding a deputy, which allows for more transports of these federal inmates, would help with our revenue.
Todd, could I just a couple something to add? The reason Hennepin is taken out of the equation is because the city takes up all the residents, so their Hennepin County's residents is only like 11,000, was it? And so it really skews the numbers we would be much.
And they have like 300 deputies.
Yeah, I mean, so it skews everything really bad. So that's why you just take them out, because it would skew it to make us look even worse, because they have a deputy for every 4 or 5 people, basically.
Sure.
So that's why they're taken out.
I just had a question about these rates. So currently, we're receiving $72
That's correct.
per day. And really, in order for us to get up to 85 or 90, we would need this additional deputy to help with the transports, because the transports are what will increase our per diem.
That's correct. They are looking at that. If we could help with, for example, when there's a court hearing in Fargo, we would need two licensed or 2 armed officers to bring that person there.
So the federal we are due for an increase anyway.
Yes.
So we anticipate an increase in that rate. The other thing is, though, the more you can supply, the higher that rate will be, if you can do the transport. So, we're looking at 2 things. I think justification for new deputies there without this, but this is actually a possible revenue increase that could help offset that for future.
That's correct.
So this is just showing that this is a revenue offset, possible, probable, not for sure. The one thing I think Todd alluded to it too, you look at like-sized counties, and we are, there's a couple that are like-sized, and you're like, oh, why is, like Morrison as an example. Morrison County, we are pretty close to Morrison's county size. We have a lot of similarities. But the one similarity, and they are actually right below us, they have less deputies than you. Then you look at calls for service, and our calls for service are doubled what Morrison counties are. I believe it's
pretty close to double.
They are at 524 calls per deputy.
So, you look at those that are less than us, and their calls for service per deputy are much lower.
And just to clarify, when we're looking at population, we're talking about year-round residents.
Yes.
We're not talking about the
21
summertime influx of
That's correct. This
population.
does not include the summer influx.
Yep.
It's our residents.
And it's also excluding those in the city residents.
Yeah.
Correct.
And the reservation?
Yes,
Right.
it's the entire county. Correct.
It includes reservation.
It does.
Yes.
But not those that have their own police. Like a city within the reservation boundaries, it would be, if they have a police department, would be pulled out.
No, this includes that.
It depends on which one you're looking at, but it pulls out Detroit Lakes.
No, this one pulls out. This is just county population.
But
any muni that has their own police force would be pulled out of those numbers.
Yes. It excludes the municipal police departments and their population.
Right.
Because they serve, the Detroit Lakes Police Department serves the citizens of Detroit Lakes. Not that we can't, but
Right.
generally they take their calls. But the way the uniform crime reports run, they consider that community served by their local police department. So they break that down. Our population is obviously higher than 22,795 people, but that's the population we serve.
So we serve the full reservation, but if there's a muni, I was just saying, if there's a muni within those boundaries, then that municipal population would be pulled out.
Like Calway.
Yes, Callaway would be pulled out. Yes.
So that's what I was.
Crazy, Audubon, Lake Park.
Yeah. Well, I think the numbers are, you start looking at crime and 10 years ago we didn't see the violent crime that we see in Fargo-Moorhead, and it just seems like it's getting worse, and I think it's getting closer. So, and the numbers show that we are on the low end. So I do support moving forward with the.
I think also it's about public safety, but it's also about our deputy safety. When we're short-staffed deputies, we need to make sure that they're there to assist each other also. I think we only have a couple deputies on a shift, and you have one on the west side and you get a call on the east side. And I mean, we want to make sure that they're safe also.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with Erica that is a lot of people don't look at that. I want to be safe, but I want those guys out there in the middle of the night by themselves to be safe too.
And I'd also like to add too that we added that jailer, so that will allow us to easily be able to probably house 20 inmates. So even if we don't get an increase, which we will, we're going to be able to generate more revenue also.
And I just want to give a shout out to the staff out at the jail. Even with being low staff, last year, for example, they brought in $234,000. So.
With that, we got a resolution in front of us, a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2A.
I'll second that.
Motion by Dave, second by Richard. Further discussion? Just a comment, I know yesterday I said finance, didn't know if I could support this yet, then I guess after reviewing it a little more, I'm still a little hesitant, but I know there's a need there, and so part of my mind has changed a little bit. So, with that, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. Resolution 1024-2C, no, excuse me, wrong. This is a purchase request. It's item number 3, I guess, on my agenda. This is a purchase request for updated body cameras, body-worn cameras, mobile cameras, and also cameras for our jail staff. I know we talked about this at the last board meeting. It comes with a cost of $639,000. Actually, the cost is $1,039,000, but we had planned on using $639,000 out of our public safety funds, and the other $400,000 we plan on now spreading it out over the next whatever we do, whether it's 2 years, 3 years, that'll be budgeted throughout the next years after that. So if that makes sense. We talked about this in our committee. We talked about it yesterday in finance. And again, it would be public safety funds that would be paying for the initial cost of this.
I think in our committee and at the time, remember, we didn't know if we had the 400, how much we had left to cover. We do have the 400,000 in there, but I still think it'd be actually better to hold that, get interest, and then use it, put it, because this is going to be an annual expense this is an annual expense ongoing, so maybe we should start putting it in our budget in 27, 28, and budget it in those later years, the portion that's left, because there's no loss of, there's no financial, is there a financial, we asked you to look into, there's no negative for not paying it all or over 5 years, is there?
Correct. We can spread it out over 5
So
years.
we have to spend money out of your fund by June 30th of 25, but
Correct.
The rest of it we can budget over years 3, 4, and 5. So then when we come to year 6, then it's partially in the budget. And this includes all expenses and updates. So this should actually reduce, and we didn't have a huge line item for fixing everything or maintenance, but it will reduce that line items a little, whatever the cost was. So.
This is what, in my opinion, that if we had a capital improvement program in the county, it would fit in there very well, if we could budget that money. I know Gary and I had a little discussion on it yesterday, and there might be some money to start it. So we'll know close to the end of the year, but I'm still a big advocate of starting that capital improvement fund county-wide.
Yeah, I agree.
I just want to add one thing, and I mentioned at the last meeting that our current camera system, it's coming to end of life, and it's becoming very hard to maintain those or that system. So that's what we're here. And
With that, do we have a motion on their purchase request?
I got what page are we on here? I'm at the 47?
Yeah, it goes all the way, the whole thing is all the way down to 60.
Do you want to read a proposed motion that you have prepared, a motion to approve going with,
Yes, I would like a motion to approve the purchase of all body-worn cameras for our deputies, mobile cameras for all of our squads to include what's needed at the jail.
the company's name?
Axon.
And with 639,000, and you have the dollar amount to come out of the,
639.
Out of the
Out of the public
safety
safety
fund.
aid fund.
639, 727.50,
with the remaining coming out of, to be budgeted for?
future budgeted funds.
Okay, that's my motion.
I'll
That's the
second.
motion.
Peggy, got it?
Got my figure?
Colin, we want to make sure we include the name of the, name of the company with the,
AXON,
and the dollar amount coming out of the grant.
639, 727.50.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Dave. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Doug.
Mr. Chair, just one other thing that we did discuss in sheriff's was the impound. We're looking still at the impound, and I think we have direction to get a quote for getting a quote to give us some idea of what that would cost. Just so we're updated on where that's at. So.
I think we were hoping to have that November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're not moving anywhere. We're just asking for
the quote. Yeah.
We're asking for how much its estimated cost, and then the cost of the architect if needed.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Cody. TDA.
Cody, could have used you in my right hand on that one of the questions for childcare.
Where was
at
that
the
at?
candidate forum.
Candidate form? Well, I'm not a child care expert, so.
No, but we were asking about possible partnerships
Okay.
for childcare.
Yeah.
Or that was.
Yeah, there's a lot of buzz about it right now, obviously with the demand and the need and the different stuff going on around the state, so popular topic. Yeah, so at the last meeting, you wanted me to bring this back to kind of just give you an update on the progress. You're looking for some numbers. There was a potential for some ongoing county support. That was kind of the question at hand. In particular to this project, we wouldn't be looking for any sort of additional funding, from the county. So if that answers your question on that part. The projects would be looked at to be sourced in whole from the grant. I guess kind of to recap, or the program, I should say, $6.175 million was allocated by the state for fiscal year 2025, eligible for child care business startup, expansion, retention, training, subsidies, facility modifications, improvement, construction, and 50% of that 6.175 has to go to communities outside the 7 county metro area. So that being said, it's obviously going to be fairly competitive when you're looking at $3 million spread out across multiple counties. We can request up to $600,000 for a minimum of 2 locations. That's the maximum amount. And there was a match requirement that we can apply for a waiver, so that's why there's not an additional request potential from the county. We'd be applying for a waiver for that. We meet 2 of the 5 listed criteria.
Would the request for a waiver decrease our chances of the grant?
Not with the waiver, no, because it's just removed. So scoring is going to, the more matching funds that you have is going to score higher, but with the waiver, it wouldn't change that because it meets the eligibility of the kind of 5 requirements. So if we weren't in any of those areas like the census tract or so the 2 that we meet are the one provider would be looking at providing childcare slots outside of the normal operation hours. That's kind of more shift-based workforce modeled. And then the other one's the census tract with the income levels. So those 2 would meet the waiver requirements, whether it's granted or not. Obviously, if it wasn't granted, then we'd be looking at sourcing matching funds. But if we can't come up with those matching funds or we don't have them, I mean, that would just kind of terminate the project, which is fine. It's just a preliminary concept.
How much would the matching funds be?
We'd be applying for approximately $325,000, so $175,000, $150,000 roughly.
And does the land count as matching?
Yeah, capital and private and equity investment and stuff like that. So part of it there. I guess project proposal number 1 is, this is a picture, this is a different county in the state, and this was done last year. So this is the same concept, it's just duplexes. This is actually a 6-plex. But what we're proposing is to construct just a duplex, obviously for cost and, as kind of a pilot project.
Is this Stevens County?
Yes. It's been successful, and what this is essentially they're, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, single family duplexes that are leased out to a business as the tenant. So we'd be looking at using this grant funding in collaboration with a partner of ours that's kind of given us preliminary approval that we could do this and put 2 units there. We have 1 provider that's committed, so they would be writing a letter of support, and then the other model, there's other providers, but we'd be looking at potentially a partnership with another agency that kind of runs the child care model stuff. So the land is owned by the EDA, so the land there is not a cost. Infrastructure would be covered by the city. The building would be covered by the grant, and there would be just some potentially small residual site work stuff in the parking lot to pay for. But
so can you explain the project a little? So the county, the EDA owns the land, the county and EDA would own the buildings?
Yep, because
and then we'd rent out 2 sites, and they're 1 bedroom, 1 bath. Is that what they are?
Yeah, they're pretty small. I mean, they're roughly kind of the preliminary. These ones are like 28 by 28, so using that same kind of concept with the dimensions and stuff. I think it's 50 square feet is what's recommended for the per child square footage of a space, so that gets you your 14 per provider.
So there could be up to 14 children in that
per unit. Yeah, just depending. There's so many variations depending on how many infants are there and school age children. But so yeah, the 1 bedroom is your your nursery room, and obviously your 1 bathroom. So in the event that obviously childcare businesses were not needed, which likely wouldn't happen, or you weren't able to get tenants, they could be leased back out as like a single family.
But they're only 28 by 28?
Yeah, I mean, the ones that we're looking at are 30 by 30, so it's about 900 square feet. Yeah, they're smaller units, but I mean, this is
that's
what these ones are, 28 by 28.
14 kids in there. I think
better pad the walls.
Me, that'd be.
I believe
well, we got
this one
14 adults in here, so
this one in Morris, and I believe they're looking at adding on or making more down there. It's going so well for them.
Is it?
Yeah, it's already full.
How do you determine who leases or who gets the lease on those buildings?
It's just an open. I mean, it's an open agreement, just like any other lease agreement that we have. And probably have to open up a kind of like a waiting list, assuming, because there'd be people looking to get in there. But
what is the lease? How much does the lease cost for the individual?
These ones are, I don't know the exact amount, but they're $350 to $400. It's essentially to cover the cost of utilities and operation. Because the building's paid for, the land's paid for, so you're just
That's what
operating
Stevens
costs.
County.
Yes, yeah. The idea is obviously to, have it subsidized or affordable enough for the provider so that they can actually afford a separate location.
So there's no revenue generated for the
Yeah,
EDA?
very small, to essentially just for ongoing maintenance and stuff. But
So
it's not
any
a-
significant maintenance would have to be covered by,
Yeah, potentially
EDA
there would be,
or
if
grants?
there was a large, depending on the timeline and stuff, like I said, there'd be a small portion set aside for your operating fund for those sorts of things. Again, without knowing, any of those numbers, you don't know the percentage that you would be budgeting in there, but it'd be same as any other.
so as we're building 2 of them, are we planning, if we set out designs, are we planning, and there's no garage, correct?
Correct.
And if they if something happened and they don't work, or some don't, are we planning at the ends of them, on both ends then? I mean, I don't think we should put garages on them now, but if we rent them out as single-family dwellings, then they probably should have a garage available to expand in the future.
Yeah, there's plenty of room there.
But you know what I'm saying, so
Yeah.
you,
I don't know that we would need a garage.
if you're renting them out for single-family, well, you don't need anything.
Most apartment
I'm
buildings.
just
Kind of
saying,
nice to have a place for a lawnmower.
I'm just saying, if
There is always something.
Lawn's already taken care of.
No, I mean, if we were to, if they didn't work out, it would be not a bad idea to be able to put a garage on them.
and I think the other thing is if you expand them, you can either expand what they currently are, or I just think you want to plan for expansion on both ends of,
Yep.
for whatever, a garage or another building, or
Yeah, there's you can do up to 4 units on that lot. So essentially, this would be like phase 1. There could be a phase 2 where you'd replicate it, and then
hopefully it's successful.
there's enough room for garages and stuff. These ones, as you can see in the picture, they just have yard sheds in the back for storage for the providers. I know there was maybe a question about that before too, about extra storage space. So that's how these are set up. But
So we are building them to expand them to 4 units.
that would be
rather than 2.
the ideal.
That's kind of what I'm, just make sure we're planning for future.
Yeah, and this is all dependent on the grant funding. I mean, so like I said, if obviously we don't get selected for the grant, it would just be put on the back burner. We'd be looking at other funding sources and working on the project moving forward regardless. It's just this is kind of step 1. And the question is can Becker County be the lead applicant on it? And that was requested from our partnership.
Excuse me. Today you need approval to apply for the grant?
Yeah.
And be
Mr.
the fiscal host.
And
Yeah,
be the
and
host,
so
and be the
project
primary.
number 2, we're essentially
Yeah,
just the fiscal host. So the money
No.
that we'd be applying for would be used to expand a current operation. The daycare provider there is a nonprofit provider, and so you have extra scoring points when you're, partnering with a for-profit facility, a nonprofit provider, county, public entities. We're just essentially would be the fiscal host for that one, where we would get the money reimbursed the construction expansion cost of that one. So that one's just a renovation. It's not a new construction or anything. It's just there's already a pod there, and then they would be expanding and creating another space use of the facility there to be used for childcare.
Mr. Chair, if I may make a comment? I was just going to piggyback on what Cody was indicating too, with the surveys that have done and the high need for childcare in the area. And there's been reference to home daycares that run these operations within their home. There's been a lot of updated regulations and mandates to those home providers, and some of them, the concern is that they won't continue in their homes. So this would meet the criteria, meet the guidelines for that, as well as it's a low cost, would create space or spots for childcare, and really lessen the wear and tear on people's homes as well. And they can separate, their home from their business. So.
Okay, thanks. Okay, do you have a motion to approve the applying for the Child Care Economic Development Program as lead applicant and physical host for the funding?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Erica, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Dave. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cody.
We need a little
Yes.
break. Before we come back and need a motion to go into closed session. Need a motion to
Recess.
for closed session
Yeah.
according to Minnesota statute section 13D.05 sub 3D71. I'm not going to read the whole thing.
Okay.
It has to do with IT infrastructure.
And I think that's all, yeah. They can read this statute.
I will make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're in closed session.
Are we offline?
She's just shutting it down. Oh, there it goes.